MpoxVirus, which started spreading across Africa. People were quite shocked seeing that what's going on in Africa. Lots of people have literally lost their consciousness after hearing that MpoxVirus could be, like dangerous as same as COVID. But that was myth. That was nothing more than that. I can't say like it is a pandemic. It isn't a pandemic. It was an epidemic, or it was even like so much, like you can say prominent or intrinsic stuff to just carry it out. But it is one of the most concerned issues, one of the most consensus going on now in Africa. So, like mpox virus, what it is exactly? So, what scientists are talking about so far, I'm gonna discuss it later. When did that start? How did that thing happen? There are a lot of people who think it might start, it might get started this year in 2025. No, it has been in the news for a long time. Look at the fact. Since how long it has been in the news? It has been in the news for the long time. Even if you look at the chats, like people were talking about it in 2022, 2022, 2023, 2020. 2021 even though. So this is an outbreak, I would say. This is what I like to name this virus so far, outbreak. And in African nations, it has been spreading rapidly, and people are considering it quite pandemic kind of stuff over there, because I'm not sure like whether it is something to be called like pandemic or not, because WHO hasn't called it pandemic. So until WHO would not declare this virus a pandemic virus, we cannot really just call it pandemic. Second thing I would feel about it, like look at the mpox virus, which has literally loomed the whole African nations, and especially the like Congo. Especially there are a lot of countries, and especially the small countries in Africa nation and Africa continent, where they got involved quite into this mpox virus. Small children are facing mpox virus problems, adults are facing in like mpox virus problems. So what is this mpox virus, and where did get started? So like first, liquid filled blister. It's a liquid filled blister. If you would just literally pinch it, it is nothing more than saying some kind of chicken pox on your screen, on your skin, but it would be a little bit different than the chicken pox. And what makes it different, which is like it will be filled completely like with a liquid, and it is a blister. So this is a liquid filled blister developed on 3 years old morcellin, and I think this is what we call desirous back. Then about 2 weeks later, they appeared on her younger brother Jordan's body. So there was a woman named old like Marceline, and then what she found that her younger brother also got infected by this problem named Jordan's, and like his neck and his body, and suddenly like that boy noticed that the virus started spreading on his whole body, his leg, his hands, his shoulder, and everything's got infected by this thing. So as like Marceline said, inside there like you can say tarpaulin shelter at the Muja displacement camp last week, Jordan in the arms of their mother, like Bambaya Ruanica next to her, lessons and scares caused by mpox were still visible. Everybody was afraid to approach the sick children. People were not allowing to go near to the sick children because they had no idea what is this all about, and they being informed to just not touch the virus. Just why? Because the study finds this is an transmitted virus. It can be transferred from a body to human, and the shocking thing is here, it can be even transferred from an animal body to a human body. Just imagine how dangerous it could be. So the thing which you are totally unaware of, you do not need to show your heroism, you do not need to show how intelligent and brave you are, by the way. So more than 17,000 cases have been reported of mpox, a viral disease that causes painful rashes and flu-like symptoms, have been reported in 13 African countries. You can say like Democratic Republic of the Congo, we call DRC, has been the most affected, accounting for 96% of all case and 97% of death this year. So mostly this mpox problem you can find in DRC, Democratic Republic, on affected. It has been affected, accounting for 96% of all cases and 97% of all deaths this year. And as I told you, cases of the disease on the continent have increased by 160% year on year. The fast rise in cases and spread of this disease across borders, and several countries have reported cases for the first time, led the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention That's what we call like Africa CDC and the World Health Organizations to declare the Mpox outbreaks public health emergency this month. First recorded. Just imagine, when did that like recorded first time? It was recorded back then in 1970. So it is not the problem we are seeing now. Once it was recorded back then in 1970, and that the same thing was recorded in you can say DRC. That first time it was recorded, and that was recorded as like you can say the first record in a human 1917, what is now the DRC. So mpox spreads from person, and as I said, like from the animals, it is so far. So there are lovely countries you can even see, like Ivory Coast, Cameroon, and Ghana, Benin, Nigeria, Central Africa Republic, Egypt, Sudan, Uganda, and like Republic of the Congo, South Africa, and even though you can say Mozambique, Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi. These are the places where this mpox virus has spread very, 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 very badly. In 2022, mpox virus was declared a global emergency when it spread to more than 70 countries. I was shocked hearing this news today that it has been spread in our country as well. The first, you can say, the case has been found here in our nation so far. It is like Mpox, and I hope you've heard about it. And recently, when I heard this news, like somewhat, this Mpox got into our nation, India. The first record and the first, you can say, variant was found somewhere in North India, and that person was clearly secluded from other ones. And that's what it is exactly saying. In May, scientists reported a new strain of the virus, Clade 1B, in the DRC that they said was more virulent and associated with a higher mortality rate. Scientists believe in the new form is contributing to the current spread. Clade 1B caused death in about 3.6% of cases, with children more at risk according to the WHO. There is an acute shortage of vaccine in Africa. The outbreak in the DRC is happening against the backdrop of a severe humanitarian crisis in the eastern part of the country, where long-term fighting between the Congolese army and M23 rebels has pushed hundreds of thousands of people from their homes. Camps for the displaced people, such as Muzda, where Rawinka and her children live, are overcrowded, and experts say this has probably fueled the spread of disease. So look at that fact, and this is what I'm talking about. So if you see that like clade 1 and clade 2, so clade 2 is the new variant and the clade 1 is a new variant where people are mostly getting killed, and this is the massive cause behind the children death. Many mpox cases in Africa have been attributed to cross-border movement. They include Kenya's 2 confirmed cases involving long-distance lorry drivers, Goma borders, Rwanda, at the border, one of the busiest on the you can say continent for commercial traffic. There was no screening or testing. Mpox was not documented to spread through sex until as recently as 2022. Last year, the WHO confirmed sexual transmission of Mpox in the DRC for the first time. People would have thought like this problem cannot, or this virus cannot transmit through human to human via sexual process or during the intercourse. But what WHO found last year in 2020, when they said like no, it can be transferred into a human being during the during the sexual encounter or sexual transmission, is also the matter of fact of mpox. Now mostly you would see like the sex workers whose numbers are quite high in Africa. I already made a video on this subject about the HIV and the SIPs, that how does Africa become the most HIV affected continent in the world. So you should watch that video. I will put the link in the descriptions. Do not forget to watch that video as well, that it is very informative. So coming back to the point about the mpox virus, which has killed I think a lot of people, I would say, I don't have any specific number how many people have been killed yet, but I think this numbers is expected, or this number will have appeared quite more if they would not care about it. Our best, particularly in resource constrained context, like most American state, it is to work with the community. Back at Mudija, and the fear of mpox is omnipresent, as video Jacqueline trimmed tree branches he had cut from a nearby bushes to sell as firewood to fellow camp residents. She reflected, it's bad disease. Many people have already contracted it at the camp. She already contracted it at the camp. So I think government must be focusing on exactly evacuating those people from the highly dense populations. This, for example, concentration camp, for example, camps for any kind of like refugee camps where people are sheltering in a huge number. These people must be transferred immediately to a safe place. It could be anywhere. Maybe they can disperse these people into different groups, compartmentalize them into like different places. So that's how this disease cannot spread anymore from like individual to individual. As we have already heard, it can be sexual transmission, it could be contract transmissions. Once you touch somebody, that disease can get into you. And even the animals can spread this disease among human beings, and even the animals can bring the disaster among the human beings. That what they're exactly saying, and this would be disaster if we literally not look at the facts and whatever you can see so far though. So mpox is the kind of first things that when I saw the first pic of a girl who got this mpox, I could not literally imagine what happens if somebody gets this problem so far in my concern. That would be very disaster. So this is today in this video. Thank you very much for stopping by. Have a good care of yourself. Hit the subscribe button. Take care.